Welcome back to the second half of the Bobby Dupre Show, shown on the first time, Thursday morning, 7 a.m. This is the second half, and my sidekick here is Andrew Guitros.
Good morning.
And we covered quite a bit of territory the first half, but we stopped right with some pictures, but I think you need to hit a couple of sponsors.
I can do that. Well, I like my sponsors. You know how that goes. Let's go with the Piggly Wiggly. Man, if you're all throughout the Acadiana area, Piggly Wiggly's got a location near you. Annapolis is Church Point, Rain, Scott, Cecilia, and St. Martinville. And right now, you know, they've got those
And Simsport.
And Simsport. They've got those busters right now where they bust inflation and they bust some of those high prices. You know, you're seeing right now, cost of food is going up. You're seeing that more and more. If you buy it all, if you're not the buyer, your wife's the buyer, she knows that dollar ain't going as far. Piggly Wiggly, if you go inside the store, notice around, they've got these inflation busters where they've locked the prices down. Even though some of the competitors may be going up, they're keeping that price nice and low. So go buy your local Piggly Wiggly. Take a look at all the stuff because the pig knows best. And how about Dr. Kerry Thibodeau? If you're looking for a little bit of general surgery, maybe you've got something from varicose veins, a little bit of diabetic type issues where you're having some circulatory problems. Maybe you got some wound problems, something that's not quite healing from some surgery you've had, diabetes type issues, skin type issues. They can help you there. Dr. Kerry Thibodeau is a board certified general surgeon with the Wound Care Treatment Center there in the hospital as well. Give him a call at 948-4362.
All right, let's show a few pictures.
Photos. Back to the Senate race. Our good friend, Senator Elbert Lee Gilroy.
Yeah, if you remember right, I endorsed him on our last show, and boy, I tell you what, the people went out and voted. It was a good turnout. It was a much higher turnout.
In our area, was very hard. People wanted to help.
That's correct. It created a lot of interest. Mayor Cravens worked hard, and so did Elbert Lee Gilroy, our present senator, and of course in January he'll get sworn into his second term as a state senator. He spent about 2.5 years on that
the end of an old term.
Of an old term, and he was some excited, and people would ask me, is he working hard? Well, I want to say this publicly. I've been involved in politics since 1959 when I came out of college. DJ Cat Doucette, the sheriff, had anointed me to become the bail bondsman for the parish. And of course, he asked me to serve as a commissioner, and which I did. And I had always heard politics in Mom and Daddy's little school cafe where the Cajuns would go in there.
Can't drink coffee and not talk about it.
And not talk about politics, because Mama said she wasn't involved, but she was maybe more so than my daddy was. But anyhow, always involved in politics. And I've backed, not many, but 1 or 2 people that I've backed just didn't get out and work. Well, let me tell you this. That little man, Elbert Lee Gilroy, he got out and walked the streets, knocked on the doors, and had to do, attend meetings, had to go to a lot of
all the way in Breaux Bridge, all the way in Lafayette, northern St. Landry Parish, around the Palmetto, Melville area. He was covering a big area.
Big area. And the more that the race got competitive, he just started putting on the heat. I mean, that little man went to work. It's fun to, what I'm trying to say is, it's so fun to work for a candidate that's working hard himself. Because the candidate, he or she, has to set the level of intensity. They have to lead the group. And I tell you,
he called me one night. He was his voice was low. You could tell he had talked all day. You talk all day.
Got hoarse.
He said, how you doing? I said, I'm fine, Senator. How you doing? Doing good. I'm just checking in on you, he said. That's all. I could just hear his voice, how tired he was. He just checking everybody, seeing anybody we needed him to talk to that was looking for him. It was nice.
And of course, a young man right there in Carencro who has some deep roots right here in St. Landry Parish, Stephen Ortigo, won. They called it an upset. Well, if you were out there politicking like we were, and I want to say this, I didn't get involved because if I would, when you dedicating a lot of your time to one candidate, like we were,
Senator Gilroy,
if either side I would back openly. The other side would get mad and cost.
Don't want to hurt Senator Guillory's campaign by getting involved in another race.
But for the last about 2 weeks, you could see the tide turning, and they were going for the young man. They'd refer to him as the young man.
Spent some time talking with him. Remember, we had a gathering for Senator Guillory, and he came by at Pat Morrow's camp. You and I had gone
sure
one night.
did.
And he talked to us quite a long time. Very, very personable young man. Just, you could tell, no dummy. Don't let a little bit of youth make you think that he's not a
No, and he'll
guy.
have some new ideas, and has like I said, he's got a good, strong following here, and he's an up-and-comer to watch in the future.
There you go.
And congratulations to everybody who put their name out on the ballot. I try never to forget, because that's what keeps our country, a democratic country, is the ability to announce and run for one of these positions, and at the same time, it doesn't cost but a small few $100s to qualify. And generally, if you don't have friends to pay that, well, then I don't think you ought to put your name on the ballot.
That's right.
I mean, you've got
if
to
you can't
start
find
a
enough people to help get you on the ballot, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. But I like to congratulate. There are no losers. Everybody that put the name on the ballot is a winner in my book, because of the fact that you keep our system working in a healthy, strong manner.
And then here we got Miss Yvonne.
Yep, his former wife and campaign manager.
Right, and mother of Imani, their beautiful daughter.
Yep, that's correct.
And how about my brother from another mother, Charles Tyler? Good morning, Big Charles. Let me tell you, I've worked.
Granddaughter.
That's a granddaughter with him?
Yeah, I think so.
I've worked with Charles and I've worked against Charles. You know, you're not always on the same race as all of your friends, but let me tell you, when he and I are on the same race together, it's so much more fun. We have a good time. Good morning, Charles. And I'm going to show a couple of photos. I went this weekend with my children down in New Orleans. I went by St. Louis Cathedral, just to show you how pretty the building is inside, how well they maintain it, and the old Pontalbo apartments there, and St. Louis Cathedral from the river, just to show you a couple of pictures. And we brought a whole bunch of the kids, brought my two youngest kids and some of their friends. I'm going to show them a little closer. But we went to the World War II Museum, which I want to recommend again, everybody go. There's a movie there. It's not a regular movie. They call it 4D. You sit in the chair. There's things that act up around you. Snow falls in the building. Let me tell you, beautiful thing. Bring your people. And of course,
I just made a donation.
You did?
To the museum, and I've got a little gift they sent me, so I'm going to bring it and show it
and go take a look around.
Week.
And the Higgins boats are there, and of course your father, Cornelius Dupree, went down and helped build some of the Higgins boats,
correct?
He
worked at the Higgins shipyard.
There you go. And my little daughter Austin, she dressed up. You see in the background the poster, We Can Do It, with Rosie the Riveter. She dressed up like Rosie to go around, and of course everybody wanted to take their picture with, and some of the people who did were some of these World War II veterans with Purple Hearts and all from the Asian and the European theaters. So that was a really, really neat thing. We had the whole crew of kids in front of the American flag. That is Andrew Geeter on the left, my youngest boy. That is Odie Tomlinson. That's Robert and Marie Tomlinson's grandson next. And we've got Michael Pipes from over at school with Austin, and Austin is next, my little girl. And last is Cody Sibley. And a lot of people know Cody through, I guess, his grandpa, Mr. Bershman Sylvester, who's repaired probably every washing machine in the parish at one time.
You're right. Now his son Mike does it.
That's right. And I got one more photo of them just lighting the Christmas tree lights over on Canal Street. We did that too while we were out there, but had a beautiful time. If you get a chance, you want to spend some money on vacation, you don't have to go to another country. New Orleans is another country of itself.
I have several deaths of people that I know, or I knew somebody in the family pretty well. And Miss Jeanette Marie Deraney. And I don't know, I kept reading it over and over, and then finally I read in here where her former husband, they were divorced, was Dr. Edward Haney, who we spoke about. He died very, very recently. And then, of course, she, a few weeks later, she was 82 years old, from another area, New Jersey, I think is where she was born. Yeah, New Jersey. She was born in Ridgewood, New Jersey, but she was a lifelong resident of Lafayette. And of course, she and her former husband owned the Rosewood Retirement Community, is where she had been living, as well as Dr. Haney. And another one that passed away was Deborah Ann Dunston Villian in Abbeville, Louisiana. Debbie is what we had called her. I met her through her husband, Ed Villian of Abbeville. He had married Mr. and Mrs. Bob Casanova's daughter. I think her name is Jolene. They divorced, and then Ed married Debbie and became Villian, and they lived over in Abbeville, Louisiana. And then Jessie Mae Dupre, that's Mr. Boo Dupre's wife, and they had been married, I see here, 70 years. She was 89 years old, and her daughters, Janice Hogruder and Brenda D, and her husband, Brian Lalonde. They live in Lafayette. Janice lives over in Washington. My deepest sympathies to their family. Bernadette Baudelaire Dupre. Can't say that I know her, but I'm sure that somewhere.
Got to be connected.
But they got to be connected. So I just want to make mention. And her husband, who preceded her, was Willie Dupre. Our deepest sympathies there. And a person that I knew well, served on the school board many years ago, was Robert, better known as Mr. Bob Finlon Sr. He had been living in recent years right out of Baton Rouge in Baker, Louisiana. And of course, the Ford and Joseph Funeral Home on North Market Street here in Opelousas was built and owned by Bob.
It was a Fenelon Funeral Home for years and years. Funeral
home. Real nice gentleman, and my deepest sympathies to his family. And of course, earlier this week, I was able to go by and visit with the family of the deceased Jackie Sharp Griffin. And Richard Griffin was, he's about 3 or 4 years younger than us, but I remembered him from school. He was a good athlete, and of course he was gone. He was in California for many years, and then came back, and he joined the Elks, and so we see each other on a regular. We called him Kilroy back then, and that's correct. And of course I got to visit with Jackie's 3 children, Cindy, Brad, and Stephen. And my deepest sympathies on a beautiful young lady who worked early on at St. Landry Bank is where I first, remembered her.
And she was at the hospital
for
years.
In recent years, she's been at the hospital. At one time, she managed one of the programs, I think, like for the Champions program for the senior citizens like myself over there. And then in recent years, she was the manager of the beautiful gift shop that was built.
This weekend,
one more.
Go ahead. One more. I thought we had them all.
No, got one more. And I was able to visit with the J.L. Sebastian family Wednesday morning, just prior to coming here to tape the program. I went over to Sabille Funeral Home and visited with the family. And I told them a little story, how long ago I met him. Back when I was about 13 years old, about the 9th grade, I bought an old Cushman motor scooter from Jimmy Ducharme.
Okay.
And $100 bill it cost me. That was a lot of money back then for a kid in school, and I had to buy that with my own money. That Cornelius wasn't going to invest in no motor scooter.
Right.
But first thing I had to do, of course, was get it overhauled. The motor had kind of, seen some of its better days.
KSLO was on the other side
JL
of 3.
was a very good mechanic and overhauled it, and I told him that little story, and they said, well, you do remember him from way back. And of course, I knew members of his family, and his brothers, Archie, Donald, and Raymond. Raymond Sebastian was married, of course he's deceased, was married to my cousin, Beryl Ortigo Sebastian. So, and got to see them, and also got to see his sister and his wife. His sister is Norma Hogruder, and I got to see Norma's husband, Larry. So real nice visit, and just good, like cousins. We always refer, when you come from the country like that, I don't know if y'all had that same feeling around